Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm just gonna see if I can hear myself in the audio because I'm not seeing the levels up there, which is not good. Which probably means it's not correct. But let's see. I'm going to try to fix this. I wasn't able to get it to work before we started. So let me just see. Okay, I can hear myself. That's fantastic. Okay, sweet. Okay, nothing to worry about. Normally the levels go much higher up there. I actually also want to hear if the music is too loud. It is very quiet. Let me boost my audio real quick, and then we can go ahead and get started. So we stopped off yesterday. Boost my audio a little bit. This might be a bit much. Just tell me if this is like too obnoxiously loud or whatever, and we can make some adjustments. If there's anybody that's having any issues hearing, let me know. It's something that I really can't see up on my screen because I got like a screen up here, and it's got like all this information, and I can see my picture. If anything's screwed up with the picture, I can tell that right away. But you know, something that is a little more annoying is that it only has like the audio levels, and sometimes it'll show audio levels even if it's just like white noise or something like that. So you know, you can't really tell if it's talking or what. Did you figure out what the issue was? Yes, kind of, in a weird way, and I'll get into that in a second. I think either it's a bug in the new version of Blender, or I need to, well, it has to be a bug because config files are just config files. But I swapped, I'm still in Blender 4, and that's what we're about to jump back into. And I swapped everything back to the default from like linear preset rather than swapping it to separate color spaces on the input. Or was it lower than normal? See, this is something that I'm not quite sure what like everything is. But anyway, so I swapped all the color spaces back to, I'll just talk as I'm trying to boost my audio here. I was able to kind of figure out that if you swapped everything back to the default setting, which for me was somewhat linear, then everything kind of worked. And since everything works there, I was able to kind of just use that as the default template because the textures that we were receiving are also in linear space, and I can convert them on the shader space level rather than trying to do it inside of the color space tagging option. So I think the color space tagging option is the thing that's bugged out on Blender, and I'm not quite sure if that's actually what the issue is, but I will say this, on the two materials that we created yesterday, I swapped both those back, and you can see that right here. I swapped both those back just to the default from linear, and if you are in the regular Blender version, where you didn't have the config activated, it's probably like 1886 or something like that. I think something to do with this is a problem, but I'm not entirely sure. I will say this, it hasn't crashed. I've had this up for the last 45 minutes or 30 minutes, and it hasn't crashed on me yet. So, you know, that's probably what the issue is, and, you know, with that being said, I'll double check on like updated config files because I also am going to be doing a video on installing, just like straight up that little section there about installing color spaces. I'll do a quick video on that and talking about why color space management is important and how to set up color space management on all different softwares that you can be using: Photoshop, After Effects, Nuke for compositing, Blender, or even Houdini. No, I don't think Botanic or the other add-on was the issue, which is great because, well, I guess we'll find out if that was the issue today because I still have Botanic disabled here. But I don't think it would be an issue. I feel like they would do stability tests and stuff like that. I know that these plugins say that they're good for Blender 4. So this is Blender 4.0.2. I know you can't really see that because my face is in the way. But the version number that I'm running today is Blender 4.0.2. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I only have about an hour and a half or so before I actually have to be ready for work. So I have a job, and you know, this isn't my job. Otherwise, I'd stream all day long, you know? Alright, let's go ahead and get started with this. So this is kind of where we left off yesterday. Make sure you hit the save button. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the render on, and we'll see if we lose our minds. Although I don't also wouldn't think that it would have been Botanic, because we always had Botanic disabled. We also had clouds disabled because we were trying to get faster playback on the render speeds in order to do shading. That's what I always do. So I don't think it was that. I rewatched the section where it started crashing. The only things I really did was I went to UV editor, I unwrapped everything, and then I added this in using Node Wrangler. So there's a couple steps right there that it could have possibly crashed at. Node Wrangler, if Node Wrangler has a weird defaulted code in it, which I can't imagine. I mean, it's just adding in nodes. It's not really like a plugin per se, as much as it's just like a setups menu. But that potentially could have made it crash. And then the UV unwrapping, I did smart UV unwrapping, because when I tried to just press U and say unwrap, it gave me error down here saying that it couldn't just unwrap it. So I did a smart UV unwrap, and then I went ahead and changed all the color faces. And it wasn't on the first material till after the displacement that I changed film light linear that it crashed. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's because it doesn't understand that. But that's neither here nor there. We are back today, and we are going to finish this stream off. We have, we still need to do some UV unwrapping here, so I'm just going to select everything and just do smart UV unwrapping. And let's go ahead and save that. And while we're at it, man, we're running out of space here anyway. It's where things get a little tight. Let's just join this section. I'm going to turn this on so that way I can see. You don't need to see the background, so I'm just going to turn that off now. We don't need it anymore. Although it is kind of cool to see it in the background, it gives us something to look at. But let's go ahead and disable that. Turn off background images. And go in here. Is my audio better now? I turned everything up a little bit. I'm not quite sure if that's enough, or if the music is still super loud. I know that sometimes I've looked at previous streams where like the audio is just completely blown out the entire time. So maybe this is the opposite effect of that. Alright, this is currently using generated, so we can swap that over to UV. And then that is just the ground, so then let's look at the wall here. Again, that's using UV. But I am getting some weird results here with the sides of it. So let's there's a couple things. Let's go ahead and select the wall and then hit assign to make sure that we are using the correct material. And let's also add in a value node to allow us to adjust everything. Currently, the default setting inside of our shader is just 1, but if we plug in values, we can change all 3 of those values at the same time. And if you did really want to control like separate values, I think you can go under the node and create additional properties that you can do. Yeah, you should lower the music a little. It's almost at par. Oh, jeez. Hopefully that fixes it. It's probably... I don't want the music too aggressive. Music's supposed to be background music, okay? It's supposed to get you vibe, get you going. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and do that, and then we can just scale that up by 3. Let's just see what we're getting here. Mostly going to just look at this. Hold on. I almost want, let's go into material preview, since we're not using any kind of like transparent shaders. We can just do this here to give us fast results. Just gotta focus on that. And the other thing that we have is this is oriented kind of strangely. We can go into our UVs and then kind of like change it there, or we can rotate it ourselves. So I'm gonna actually just rotate it on the one of these axes. Might be the Z. Yeah. and then now that's going to kind of put it in the correct orientation for us. We could have done that in the UVs, but you know, I find that sometimes it's more useful to just kind of do that in the shader editor, especially since all of these are going to be the same, and I don't want to have to constantly be rotating the UVs all the way up. So that's really good. Let's go ahead and save that, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of dirt. Why are we frozen? Just hit the save button. Blender's like, not today. Let's add some like dirt and grime into this. We also have kind of this displacement map that we were using. I'm going to delete the node wrangler displacement map that it has there. Add my own math node in. I do like to just take my own math node and have a multiply on it. And then that way I can multiply it by like for specific numbers that I really want to obtain. Not plug that into volume, it doesn't need to be plugged into volume. But now that'll give us the ability to add in a little bit more displacement by just changing this value number right here. You should try cube project rather than smart. Yeah, I tend to like, I always try smart first. It's like just like, it's an easy thing for me to do. I do smart, then like whatever shape it is, I'll try it after that to do that. I do find like with cube, it'll probably create some orientations on the object that I didn't necessarily want, specifically since the top face of the object is supposed to be different than the sides. Although, I mean, we could try that. So let's go ahead and select it. Let's just see what results we do get. And then we can change our rotation value on it back to 0. Actually, we probably might have been a good call to do that. One thing I was looking for that I was hoping that it would do that it didn't quite do was continue the edges around the corner. And then, I mean, our displacement that we have, I'm just going to pull that up a little bit more. Oops, not that much. Let's just keep it at 3, and then our normal strength, we can increase that to like a 3 as well. And then when we are rendering this, that'll catch the light quite a bit better. Your mic audio, mad staticky. Oh my gosh, I'm having all sorts of problems today. Is it okay? Like, can we bear with it? I'll have to figure this out later today, otherwise I'm never gonna get this going. Let's see, let's turn it down a bit up there. Oh my god. The short stream of the short stream is gonna. Yeah, Vin, I don't have time to like, you know, like, that takes so much effort to manual UV unwrap stuff, okay? I don't like manually UV unwrapping things, alright? I don't want to have to deal with that. It's a fair point, I just, you know, it takes a lot of effort to do that, and this guy don't want to spend that effort to do that. This is the nice thing about grabbing this value thing. You can just see, like, I can adjust the scaling, like, very easily, and then I can see what my results are live as I'm doing it. So, hi, MD, welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, MTO, welcome back. You know, I haven't seen you in a bit. Thank you so much for dropping in. We're just finishing up a stream that we started yesterday. So, we had some bugs. It turned out that you can't change your color space without it crashing. Yeah, Vin, it just takes way more time, and you know, I got places to go, people to meet, alright? So, I'm just constantly saving as we're doing this, because I know that it just can crash at any moment here, so, it seems like this version of Blender is a little unstable, so I kind of want to make sure that I get everything I have. Going here. Okay, we got rustic stone, I think is what we were going to select for this. So let's go ahead and select all of that. All the way down there, whoops. Apply that to our principal BSDF. Save. I think we're using rustic stone, right? The ground is our gray stone. Oh, no. We're not using rustic stone. We're going to be using... Okay, we got gray stone. Oh, rock wall. Okay. And yeah. I mean, honestly, with this, it's like, I've noticed anyways that, oh, that actually, is that glitchy on us, or add just a value node and we can see kind of like how that scales. One thing I've noticed is like, with different versions of Blender, you'll have different issues with different things. And that's just always going to be the case. How small do we want these rocks? Also, we can rotate them by like 90 degrees. Oh, is it always on the Z-axis that we have to rotate on? I guess that makes sense. Oh, dude. And then this is the other thing. It's like I want the lines of the bricks to line up on the edge there. No, you don't. You kind of almost want this, so that way it feels like the brick is that piece, right? I'm going to adjust the scale to be about half the size. Maybe 4.5. Yeah, it works for me. Let's go and save that, and then we can go and make our adjustments. I'm just going to increase our normals to like 3, and then delete our displacement and add in a math node, and we can just plug in the color value. We'll just multiply that by like 3, and oh yeah, multiply it, not add it, and we can just chuck that directly into our displacement. By the way, how does this time work for all you guys? I mean, it's like, you know, Monday, so is that more of a nuisance to join a stream on a Monday? Since I've only been doing it on the weekends, I've been kind of curious what how many people would even show up today. I think just the general settings for our Musgrave, feel like you might be routed to a different mic. LOL, can hear your keyboard better than your voice. Oh, you know, it is this mic. The problem is, I'll explain my setup. My computer is not in this room. My computer is all the way over on the other side of the building. And so I'm running an HDMI cable for the TV up here. Actually, I'm running a 100-foot HDMI cable from that computer to this TV, and then for the camera right here, I'm running an HDMI out of that 100 feet over to the computer, plugging it in. And the only way for me to get audio is by having this mic plugged into a mixer, which is plugged into the camera, which then has the HDMI signal that's going all the way there. So I know it's the correct mic. The problem is my keyboard's really freaking loud, and since it's so loud, it's right in front of the mic, which is right here. So I might need to change the position of my mic. Maybe that's what the issue is. I know that maybe the last time you were on the stream, it was a couple weeks ago, I did have the mic up here rather than down here. So that might be the issue. I don't know. Audio is one of those things that I really need to fix, because I swear every single time I have problems with it, it's just loud, staticky, it doesn't sound professional, and it bothers me, okay? And I'm a visual effects kind of guy. So I'll look into it. It's just one of those things on the list that do need to be adjusted and do need to be fixed. So, by the way, guys, we can actually now use color ramps without Blender freaking crashing. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, it's still buggy. Look at this. I'm trying to zoom in and move around, dude. Look at that. But, oh, okay, Mondays are fire. It's good, but yeah, weekends are just more relaxed. True, yeah, it's like you can kind of just like sit back and enjoy, which, like, is nice. I like doing them over the weekends just because I don't like staying late. I used to do them Friday nights, and that was pretty bad because every Friday night it'd be like after work, it's like gotta turn the stream on and get ready to go. And it's like, oh dude, it's gonna be another 3-4 hours of a stream, you know. But this isn't bad. I don't even mind doing this, although doing it earlier in the morning is a little annoying. But you know, although it's not that early, it's 9:30, so I don't know why I'm complaining. I'm gonna take another pencil BSDF here, and then we're gonna do a mix shader, and we can plug in our values here. Which, by the way, I don't know how many years it took me to figure this out, but the top one is the. Let's double check. Yeah, the top one is the white value, and the bottom one is no. Wow, dude, I think it's mixed. So wait. Let's use a mixed color node. I'm very curious about this right now because I figured this out on this mix. So if this is black and this is white, and we go view it, the white values are black. So the bottom is white. So the bottom is white. Okay, great. Now I know that. I'm not guessing anymore. So that's the answer to that. I'm going to take this kind of like base color that we have here, and I'm just going to make this a little bit darker, so that way we have like kind of like those grungy steps as we're going up. Maybe a little brown as well. And let's see, the roughness can be less, maybe it's a little slicker than the rest of it. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. I think that's going to work. Now we're just in material view right now, so everything's not going to look super nice, but that should work fine. So now if we start applying our materials as we're going up here, we can apply everything correctly. So we got ground, stairs, and wall that we need to add to basically everything as we're moving. So let's add in ground, stairs, wall. And we need to apply everything, so we do, I think we're doing smart for everything, and then we select the walls specifically, and then we can do cube projection for that, as been suggested. And so now everything already is ground, so let's go ahead and select the walls here that we're adding in, and then we can just say assign. And then select our stairs here, hit assign. And since this is a procedural like Musgrave texture, everything is going to be slightly different as we're going along. I kind of want on the ground, let's go ahead and select that real quick. We'll just select this principal BSDF in the mix, just Control C, and then we can go to ground and then just paste this in here. So that way we're having consistency all the way up. So I like the idea of having like little pools of like, kind of just like morning dew or something like that collecting on the ground. And that's pretty good, I like that. And then we can just keep that going up these stairs. So we'll add in ground, we will add in a wall, and then we can add in stairs again, and then we'll just apply all that stuff as we're going. So just do a smart UV project, and then we can select our walls here and change those to Q projection and swap over our wall to assign. And then finally our stairs as well. That's pretty nice. It's hard to tell right now in material view. I'm going to do the last one over here real quick. So ground, wall, and then our stairs. But, I mean, ultimately, there's not a lot of materials to add in for this particular stream because, you know, there's not much going on here. So, And the stairs would be slightly different as well from the ground. That's good. So now from like camera angle, I think that looks pretty nice. And that's just going to be leading all the way up to the top. Now we just have to deal with these kind of pedestal things here. I do wonder if we use the wall for that. Yeah, let's use the wall. I'm going to use the wall, but we're going to duplicate this material, and then we'll just call these like wall mounts or something like that. And under this wall mount material, let's rotate it 90 degrees. And then let's change the scale here to be like 0.5. I don't know if that's small. Maybe something like 0.8. Oh, that works really well, yeah. And then we'll apply this wall mount material to all of this. Going up. Oh, not quite wall. Wall mount. These aren't supposed to draw your attention in any way, so I didn't really want to be too distracted with it. But I think it being the same material as the rest of the walkway will look nicely. Also, I mean, with this, we can add a little bit of dirt kind of feel to it. Not necessarily wetness, but more like dirt. Let's do that by adding in like another musgrave. Which I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but musgrave is like my favorite texture material. How do you handle lighting without reference? It's always a struggle without an actual picture. I mean, that was what, I have a reference picture that I was showing you guys yesterday. I will say usually I have like a kind of thing in my head of like what I want to accomplish, even if it is different than the reference image that we'll be going for, which actually happens decently often. I don't know. I mean, it's like every time I'm driving in the car or like going anywhere, I'm constantly looking at like clouds and like how the light is being cast through those clouds. So to me, I'm like just like constantly, I guess, in my head having a database of images of like what I like. I'm not sure. I mean, it's just studying photography is I think the best way to really practice lighting, because if you look at other people's photography, it'll give you ideas on how you should be lighting your things. But I mean, obviously try to experiment and create new things, because you know that's what art's all about, is testing things out. And also, I mean, here's the other thing. Maybe curves on this. I feel like my lighting is getting better the more renders that I'm doing and testing things out, because, you know, it's something that you do get better at as you're moving along. So it's not something that I think anybody is like really good at. I also have quite a bit of experience. I worked for about 2 years. No, I worked about three or 4 years in college doing lighting for theater. So a lot of the my experience of lighting comes from that. And yeah, if we bring that curve down, you can see it kind of like adds in a bit of a darkens like specific parts of the wall, which is actually pretty nice. So I have a decent amount of like traditional lighting experience, and I think that also really helps me when I'm trying to do CG lighting. Is kind of just thinking back on how I did lighting for like theatrical productions and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just taking lighting from a traditional sense and kind of using it and utilizing in different areas. I'm gonna look for some rock, because we're gonna kind of shade this over here and have more like a granite surface. Yeah, it really is super good for like concrete-like materials. I also think it's just good for like anytime you want natural, like you want something to be like dirty, but like kind of roughly in different areas. Like you know, I feel like that's where it's like super nice. Ooh, I like this. Rocks in the granite. I'm not really looking for like a wall material. It's mostly just like I really like a side of a mountain almost. Rocks on ground might be the answer. Or just something like that. I just feel like it's also kind of boring, and I'm not. Well, I do have actually some dandelions and stuff growing over there, so maybe something more like this. Yeah, let's go for this. And we already have kind of like dirt over here, and there's going to be a lot of grass, so I'm not worried about that. Let's just do this right now. This material here. Oh, and then one more. Oops. I want dirt of some kind. Pebbles. For something that's down here on this like little section that we're gonna see. I feel like forest ground might be the answer. You know, I just kind of want it to feel dead. Nothing's really growing there. Let's go ahead and just download that. And once that's all downloaded, we can go and unzip it. There's all my music that I have for the live stream. Yeah, over here, live stream. Do extract. Just gonna extract it to a forest folder. So I just got rock and forest. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead to this base material here. I'm just going to remove it. We'll add in a new material, and we'll call this rock side. You know, this is something that I need to get better at. I don't have a naming convention for my materials. It's all just whatever I'm like immediately thinking of there. I need to start looking at like ILM and Weta and see how they name their materials and stuff, because my naming conventions are not really solid for that. And it's like you look at companies like that. I went to SIGGRAPH this last year, and you realize they've got naming conventions for like everything. And you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. So just unwrap it. Is that going to give me a better result? I'm getting like some choppiness in the middle here. Yeah, I think an unwrap works perfectly. Is the scale good? Yeah, they have naming conventions for everything, and that is something that I was like, I do need to get better at that. So I've been trying to get better at my physical file structure naming conventions, just like matte paintings and like outputs of different like materials and stuff like that. And then having good organization inside of my file structure. The problem that I have is that I work by myself quite often, so I don't need that necessarily. But when you're working with like other people, and they need to know where like different files are supposed to be located and stuff like that, that's where naming conventions become very, very important. So I do want to get better at that. I think I'm gonna strive to do better at that, just on like my own personal projects. So that way I can, when I do have people that come on, it's like, oh yeah, every time you need this type of material, it's going to be named this way, and it's going to be located here. And then different types of outputs and stuff like that you'll find. But it's always interesting to see like how like true professionals, work in the industry. I'm just creating a little bit of texturing here, just to add in some shading. So we're gonna do this using, just similar to what we did earlier. Drop down the color a little bit, and then that way plug both these into like a mix shader. It's like my easy way of adding detail into anything that I'm working on, is just basically duplicating your material and kind of using a musgrave, and then just darkening your base color just slightly. And then when you go view that, it's going to make those specific patch sections darker in different areas. and then I can adjust the scaling of this to get like different results that I might want. So, you know, something like this might be nice because, you know, perhaps that whole section over there is screwed up or something like that. I think that's actually about what I want. Something like that, and then also down there. That works nicely. It's really better when you look at projects after a week and don't have to figure out why Mat 101 and Mat 103 look similar. Yeah. Okay, my naming isn't that bad though, because I don't call them Mat 101. I'll call it. I always do it down to the shot number. So I'll have like the name of the project's like a 3-letter acronym. So it'll be like, let's say ABC and then underscore, and then we'll have 010 is the shot number that I'm working on specifically. So then you'll have like FG material, BG material, and then any additional types of material on top of that. And then if it's like a matte painting, I'll designate it as an NP, you know, and like, so from there I'll have like a 2-letter acronym that will basically describe what type of material it is. And then it's like, you know, and then you'll have mats, then you can have mats as well. But, you know, Mat 101, Mat 103, I think like, I don't see, how did I name, the most complicated we got was like having mats for like separate characters. And I feel like we named those like character 1, character 2, and character 3. So at least you can kind of know which characters were. And then that would be consistent throughout your entire job. So every single time I ever dropped into a job, it'd be like character 1 was, you know, like CH1 was character 1. And that particular character we always knew was going to be this specific mat. And that was like the one male character or something like that. Let me just save that. We don't really, we have base soil up here. We're not gonna see this. The thing is that we got like this wacky kind of like result here. I'm not a fan of that. So what I'm going to do is, let's just go into sculpt mode real quick. And I'm going to grab this section here and just pull it up. Just kind of like hide that. And we can smooth this out as well. That way we're not getting like that weird result. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. We'll get out of sculpt mode then. Save! Now yeah, I think mats are one thing that I'm not exactly, we don't have like a huge naming convention for. I tend to, when we get roto work done for our comp shots, we actually have them give it to us as like MK files. So that way we can just import the roto nodes directly into our system. But yeah. Oh, why is this floating up here too? Oh, I guess, oh, we're gonna see this when the grass is there? Because now I can see like this section there. Okay, whatever. Let's just do this last piece of the ground here. I'm going to create a new material, and I'm just going to call this, what's a good name, guys? Let's just do like a flower bed. It's not even a flower bed, but it kind of is, you know? It's just the forest ground location. Save that. And we're probably going to need to change the value of it. It's a pretty large surface. Something like that, I suppose. It wasn't visible with the foliage. Okay, great. Because I was like, how did I miss that? That's like embarrassing. Typical moment though there, you know? We'll make this much darker, not volcanic dark. Something like that I think works nicely, and then we can change the roughness. I think our roughness right now, go view it. Oh, it's like pretty rough. Let's just unplug the roughness value, and if we view our principal BSDF, it's gonna say that. It's gonna drop down this entirely because I do want this to feel more moody, and I think that'll work nicely there. And then let's increase our normals because we want to add a little bit more 3Dism to it. We can also do that with our regular rock over here. I'm going to probably increase that quite a bit. But over here also we have our displacement. We can change the scaling of our displacement a bit. And then that's going to give us this nice kind of like muddy ground off to the side here that we're barely going to be able to see because that's not the point of the render. I'm going to actually select this ground as a whole here instead of using that base soil. I kind of want to use the flower bed material that we just created because I like it. So let's go ahead and do that, and then just do smart UV project. Perfect. Well, I will say this is quite large over here. This is where we're probably going to want to adjust some of these things. So if we go into your UV editor on this, I'm going to take everything. I'm just going to turn that off over there so we can see what we're doing. I'm just going to scale it up since we're using the same material, and I don't want to. Oh, we're getting a lot of duplicates. Probably something like that's pretty nice. Go back to camera view. And we're not going to really be able to see that because once I think all the foliage is in there, you're not going to see it whatsoever. But it's there for us, and that's all that matters. At the end of the day, we're creating these renders for us. I say this every week, and I'll say it again. And it's true, okay? It's true. Let's add a new material in here for the glass. I'm going to add in a glass BSDF to this. We're going to have to add in all these windows separately to that glass BSDF, but we can adjust that once we go back into our cycles render. So that way we can make all of our adjustments there. Oh my god, we're going to need so many materials. Ooh, and I don't have Blender Kit installed. What a sad day. Okay, let's start busting these out. We got to add in, what kind of building material do we have for the house? Is it brick? I can't remember. What is the Psycho house? Brick material of some kind? That's a really high quality photo. This is the one I think we were using. It's like wood slats of some kind. I like these wood planks. I like these. But they're just a little dark. We can always do our own coloring on it. Might do that. Wood planks gray. I like this. This is pretty nice. A little warm as well. Brown planks. Just have to rotate them. Let's use these guys. They're a little smaller. And that's going to work better for us anyway. So let's go ahead and download this. Row this down there. And then for this like kind of like wooden beams, let's grab kind of like the wood peeling weathered. Let's do this for all of the railings. And then let's see, what else are we running here? We've got a roof that we need. We need to add some roofing. They have a roof section. They do, guys. They got a roof section. That'll allow us to pick the kind of roof. Man, these photos are so bad. Um, and I know it doesn't matter. It's just I don't want somebody to comment and be like, yeah, well, it doesn't look like it because the roof is wrong. But in the end of the day, this is for us. Oh, that just doesn't look. What is that? Let's do this, and then we can add it. I kind of like that mossy texture, but I kind of want it on a larger scaling. I don't want it to be like individual slats. Okay, then we'll go ahead and go and unzip these guys. The other thing I got to do, and this is something that I haven't been doing at all, did I just do roof? What did I do? I did wood peeling. I have to create, because you can create these libraries on your computer of all your materials, and I create materials basically fresh every single time rather than trying to maintain my work as I'm going along. So that would probably be preferable. We're going to call this peeling wood. And we'll go select our wood peeling texture that we have here. Select all that, throw that in there, save. And then for all of these guys, we can add in our peeling wood. And we'll have to probably adjust all of pretty much every single one of them's UV projections, so we'll get into that. Peeling wood. Just it makes everything easy. Everything is the exact same thing, including the trim on the house. Oh, we're gonna need a door. That's fine. We can do that. All these have to be individual. Why didn't I just make these always like one big object? That would have made more sense, Connor. Telling me. This guy's an amateur. Okay. I think that's everything. We can go look. Oh, nope, it's not. Yeah, and you can already tell the UV is not correct on any of this. Though we could try this. Let's swap this to generate it. Maybe this will just give us a free... Nope. I was gonna say, maybe it'll make our life easier. Nobody likes UV on the okay? So... it's not something that I enjoy doing. I wish Blender was like, oh yeah, well we'll just auto UV unwrap everything for you, so that way you don't even have to worry about it. That would be ideal. You know, why is that not a feature that they're adding? We got real-time rendering, but we don't have auto UV unwrapping. What also could have been easier is if I just added everything to the same material. Oh wow, I don't even have it on this one. I was trying to click in between because I saw the whiteness there. And I was like, oh, so that must be the ground. Luckily, this isn't too bad. Smart UV unwrap, smart UV unwrap, smart UV unwrap. Cool. I bet you, I know I complained, but I bet you there is a default setting on the import feature that does this as well. So, okay, and then the trims here. Let's add in our peeling wood for this. Oh, it needs to be applied to the peeling good texture. We're doing all this right now just that way when we see it, we'll be like, yeah, that's a lot of the same material over and over again. Maybe I should have separate textures for everything. But by then, we'll already have everything easy and run, so our life will be a billion times easier. So just select all of that there. That's just our trims. And that way we don't have to worry about it. And now, the roof. This is gonna be annoying. Okay, that's good there. Oh, we need the regular house texture, so let's go ahead and do that as well. Create a... I'm gonna do this, we'll do this. We'll create one called roof, because that's gonna be harder to select all the faces for. And then if I create a new material right here called house, and then we can create a final material called glass. And how did it auto know what the glass was supposed to be? Did you guys just see that? My mind is actually truly blown right now. Did you see that? I just added glass as a third material and it auto did that. What is this magic? It just literally did my job for me. What? What just happened? It didn't do it there. What just happened, guys? I'm very confused. I'm just gonna sign this though. That's crazy. Save. Save. Okay, well, fine. We'll go to our house though. We have the roof already selected on everything. For the house now though, because they're just bigger pieces, I figured it would be easier to do this than for us to have to select all the roof tiles, locations. So to each his own, you can do whatever you prefer, but I find it easier to just select the sides of the house rather than going around on the roof trim and trying to figure everything out. So this will be easier this way. And we can just take our house and hit assign. And we can even double check everything. If we select roof and hit select, it'll select everything that is roof. Which looks like I missed some stuff here. I don't think I did anything and forgot it. I'm telling you, Blunder's getting smart. Maybe this is the AI update. They're like, oh, you know, we're going to have everything auto do everything for you now. Imagine though. I mean, they could use AI for stuff like that. They're like, yeah, we know that you named it house, so we figured out from the structure of your model that this would be like the walls. So like if you named it walls, it would like know what walls are. And then like you select roof, it would be like how much roof? And then it just like selects a certain amount of roof, and then you have like a dial that can control how much of the roof is selected, or like add more to the roof than it already thought it was, like a color ramp like kind of slider. That'd be interesting. These are the things we need in our life to make everything easier. Add in these brown planks now. Oof. Go into edit mode. I'm going to do Q projection. And that's pretty good. That's exactly what we want. To show the scale of the house, we're going to make the planks massive. But also let's rotate this by 90 degrees, and then let's add in a value node, and probably set this to 6 or something like that. And we'll scale everything down. Pretty close with 6. Probably do something like, I think that looks pretty nice. Yeah. And then honestly, we'll do our same trick that we did earlier. I kind of like the idea that let's use a Musgrave again because I'm original. You know me, really original over here. And then we're just gonna search for a color ramp and add that in. Probably something like that. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And then let's just take this principled PSDF and we'll plug it into the base color, of course. And we'll plug everything else in as well. So our normals will go to our normals, our roughness is going to go to our roughness. Displacement's already correct. And let's just use a mix shader. And we could just plug this into our FAC. And the last thing we need to do, actually just make a little bit more room. Just need to add a color ramp. Oh, not a color ramp. What am I saying? Our RGB curves. And then that way we can just have a little bit of a darker section here, and then we can go view that. Cool, so now we got rotting wood. Probably gonna adjust the size of everything here. And then let's just make it a little blurrier. Yeah, guys, we need to UV project that entire city. ChatGPT, let me do that for you, my sir. Totally. I mean, that's the best use case of ChatGPT, right? Best use case of AI. Just an AI built-in feature where it's like, oh, I got it for you. Let me select the roof and add in the material. Well, okay. And then you use something like Midjourney where it gives you like different roofing options. And then you're like, make it dirtier, make it this, make it that. You know, it just keeps doing all the stuff for you. There we go. Although I have a feeling they're already working on stuff like that. That's not exactly a revolutionary idea. I'm gonna take actually these faces here and the bottom and make this the house material. And let's do a cube projection for that as well. Yeah, that works. I'm fine with that as being like smaller slots than everything else. And now this roof, and then ultimately we'll probably want to select the trim that's on the outside here as well, like this little corner here. We'll probably want to have that selected and make our adjustments as well. We'll do the inside of the house here shortly. Let's do the roof. I'm just been avoiding the roof. I didn't want to touch the roof. It scares me. The roof tiles, textures, and everything here. Select the entire roof now, and then we'll do cube projection. Hopefully that'll get us pretty close. And then we can add in a value node. Oops, a value node over here, and we'll just set it like 4. Wow, I am on the money with my guesses today, guys. My number values are on the money. And then overall, I mean, it kind of like works. Let's we have all these different textures. Sweet train magic. What does that look like? That is wacky. Probably not. I'll be honest. I don't screw around with the different. I do Verona. I've done before. That's like circulars. I don't really want that. Noise just isn't going to work for me. What is a brick texture? Interesting. I didn't know they had a brick texture. We're just going to use Musgrave because we're just trying to add in some dirt, I think. Some ugly dirt. I think that's pretty nice there, and honestly we could just take that, oops, take this and then move it over here. Just plug in everything one by one. I do wish that when I duplicate a principal BSDF, it would duplicate like the connecting ports with it as well. That would be super nice if that was like a feature. Yep, CG Trader already amended its licensing to use people's models for AI training, and people are kind of pissed. Oof. Yeah. I mean, because ultimately, I mean, that's the sad part, right? Like, it's like, cool, you might get paid more right now for the training use case of those AI models, because they may pay you extra for that. It's kind of like what's happening in the film industry, is everybody's like, well, if they do have AI, then they have to pay us a day rate for it, for using our model. It's like, cool, for now, but, you know, ultimately later, and this is just how AI works, is like, they're going to be able to use, your models won't be used anymore. And, you know, eventually that'll be the case. Okay, I think just kind of bring everything down here. And I also kind of want, let's do this. Let's change the roughness on this as well to be a lot less. Cool. And let's see, let's go do this guy. I don't know what I'm doing here. And then the only thing now is if we grab a color ramp, we can make this a little contrastier, so that way it's not quite so gray, and then we'll get a little bit better results in those darker sections. Something like that, and then lessen the amount. Let's keep that all the way up there then. Cool. I think that works, and then we can just adjust our scaling of, ooh, not that scaling. We can adjust our scaling of our Musgrave over here. That's nice, I like that. I'm not a huge fan of our house material, the size of that rotting wood, so let's go adjust that. Something like that feels a little more natural. It doesn't feel as spotty, it feels more continuous. It does make sense that CG Trader wants to do that though, because how Stable Diffusion was kind of like developed was by using a huge, like millions of photos of data set to basically train its AI model, and it would get better because of that, because it's using all of those image values to basically convert to noise, right? That's just how the Stable Diffusion works. What I find interesting though is that if you keep moving down the line, it's like, how would you do that with 3D models? You would have to have an insanely large library of a data set that you could train on. And there isn't that. There's not Google Images really for her 3D models. And so the only way for you to really do that is some company like CG Trader to be like, well, look, this is the eventual future, so let's just lead the way and try to do it ourselves. It kind of makes sense. Obviously, artists aren't going to like that, but I have found what I like about Midjourney is not using it as like a final end-all, but using it as a means to get where you want to go. So like, for instance, this photo here, we grab some reference images, this is actually what I'll do before each stream is I'll kind of create a reference image of the lighting and the idea, the atmosphere that I want to go for. And now I can look at this and go, okay, when I finish my comp, I would like it to have a lot of similarities to this. Like I like some of how the light is coming through the windows here, and I like how the light is hitting the clouds and things like that. And I can use that as kind of like, you know, my reference image of what I'm looking for. Not as like an end all, like, hey, this is my art, but something that's like a stepping place to get to where I want to go. Is mostly what I use it for. Okay, we are in Blender 4, and I don't have... Oh, I do have Human Gen. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Alright, we've got Norman Bates that's going to be standing up in the window up here. This window right there. Wow, so we crashed it. Oh, no, good. Okay. Let's just grab you. Default model. I know the new version of Human Gen, for whatever reason, like crashes every time I create, like, or it doesn't crash, but it just gives me like a warning message every time it does that. We fine with the T pose though? Probably not. Let's give him like some crossed arms here. Is he even crossing his arms? No. Yeah, it's good enough for me. And then we'll just rotate his head. I can see where his eyes are pointing. So that's how I'm that good. Let's go ahead and just, that's that. While we're in here though, let's go ahead. Oh yeah, and he's not wearing any clothes. That's what makes this even creepier. Norman Bates doesn't wear clothes when he's staring at you. He just stares at you from his bedroom, completely nude. I'm gonna create kind of like a ground floor for him. Not necessarily for him to be like standing on, because that part doesn't matter. It's mostly for the light when it comes through the window, or when we have a light coming through the window. I do want it to feel as if there's a room behind him. And since we didn't model the inside of the house whatsoever, we kind of have to do this. But now, if we add in a lamp behind him, which for us is just going to be a point light. If I take this point light now and we just throw it under our lighting, we're going to call this lamp. And we're just going to, in a general sense, have a light over here. And we're just going to call this house light. And again, we'll just go for kind of like a warmer tone. Probably brighten that up a little bit. Don't really know until we get into our render view. I think something like this will work fine. Go ahead and save that. Yeah, but catch, is that an opt? Wait. Yeah, but catch is that it's opt in by default, and no clarity about what the monetary benefit will be in the artist, but it's clear it won't be some kind of royalty. Yeah, I mean, I imagine they're probably saying like, well, hey, look, you have the ability to sell your models on our site, and so we're putting it in our TOS that we get to use your models however we please, which again, you know, could be bad. And like, you know, they can use it for marketing purposes, because like, for instance, websites will have it where it's like, hey, you can use our website to sell, but if we really like your 3D model, then we can use it for marketing purposes. Everybody's fine with that. So then they're adding into their TOS that's like, okay, well, we're also going to be able to use it for creating, let's say, AI model data sets. And then they can go from there. And then, of course, people will freak out about that part because eventually that hurts them. Whereas for marketing materials, it doesn't really hurt them. It's like, oh, well, that actually helps me sell my model more because more people see it. I think the website does have the right to say, look, we want to have this inside of our TOS so that eventually we can start creating our own models. And if you do want to use our website, then you have to abide by our TOS. That is their right to do, but also it's the 3D artist's right to not sell on their website. And that's like really what it kind of like comes down to there. Okay, there's a few other things that I want to add real quick. Let's create... Also, yes, I understand that that would be helpful, like generating a base mesh for sculpting a character and, like you said, a tent scene. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure, like, look, here's how it's going to be. It's like, as AI gets developed, you're going to have people that are going to use it as their end-all, and then you're going to have people that use it as a foundation. And I feel like the people that use it as a foundation, their work will become stronger and better. And the people that use it as an end-all, they're just going to continue creating like that kind of artwork, right? And it's not necessarily bad that they create that artwork, but in the end of the day, like you can tell the difference between somebody who just went straight to Midjourney, grabbed some files or put in a prompt, and then got an output. You're going to be able to notice the difference between that person and somebody that actually artistically went in, took that Midjourney photo that maybe got their idea across of like what they were really looking for, and then went and really made that image themselves, like artistically, because it's going to have a different life to it than the Midjourney photo will. And that right now is just how AI works. Now eventually that may change, I couldn't tell you, but I do believe that that is something that, you know, we will see in the future, is that with 3D models, you're going to have a base mesh that's created, and some people will use that as their end all, and you'll be able to notice it'll be like a low poly almost feel to it. And then other people will go in and be like, look, I want to use the base mesh as like a starting place. Like nobody is angry at what is that sculpting software? I don't have it. It's the ZBrush. Nobody's angry at ZBrush for having presets in there for like ears and noses and like dragon wings and all sorts of stuff like that. Nobody's angry about that. And that, in a weird sense, is because like AI is not really AI, if we're being honest. It's basically just presets that are built in that allow you to prompt things easily. But nobody's angry at, you know, ZBrush for adding in those presets and saying, oh, well, you're taking away artists' work by doing that. Everybody was actually happy about it. And I think it's like this, everything else that has to do with AI is kind of the same way. It's just presets that you're kind of like able to access quicker and be able to iterate faster. Allows artists to be more creative and have less responsibility with the trying to iterate on things from the past, or even starting from scratch. It's like starting a whole new project from scratch can be very daunting, but you know, as we grow in technology and have new features that come out, it makes it a lot easier to try new things and say, oh, you know what, I want to try a new character that I have in my head. It's like, well, now I can make it in an afternoon rather than me needing to spend weeks working on this project. And I think that's what you're really getting out of it. Okay, thinking, let's just desaturate this a little bit. And let's just make this a little darker. I like that. That should work. I think that's all our materials, guys. So there's a few things I'd like to add in. Firstly, let's turn Botanic back on. Probably shouldn't have done that without saving first. No! Oh, why do I do this to myself? we got to get moving too, because I only got like 30 minutes left to stream before I got to start working. So, okay, great. That didn't crash everything. All right, save. Always save, guys. Always save. Let's do this. Let's go to render view now. Let's see how visible our guy is. The glass shader is the only thing that we really didn't mess with. Oh, actually, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. I like that. Wow, guys, we did good. Let's add in our house material to this guy. You know what? That's fine. I'm cool with that. It's just to add in some material, maybe. I don't even know if you're going to see it. I'm just kind of curious. Does it add detail to the interior of that window shot? Our guy has less of a silhouette now. Oh, it's because of his... Gotcha. It's because of his rig that we can see him so well. Let's grab this glass material. Change the roughness on this to be a lot less. Really want to be able to see him through that window. Or at least his outline, if we can. We can also... I think if we can do crypto mats, we can darken the silhouette. I'm fairly certain. So I'm not too concerned about that necessarily. We can also take the inside lamp that we have and increase the brightness of it. That way it does have a little more of oomph to it. Probably do like 100 even, I don't know. He's got lights on, okay? He's got lights on. Oh, that actually might be pretty sweet. How do you think for the render? And this is even without clouds. We can turn on clouds, I just don't want it to crash. I'm thinking that we take the human rig here and let's just move him down. Yeah, I didn't want to see his legs. I didn't think that worked too nicely. And he's at the window, so that's about the correct silhouette that we'd probably get. He's just feeling small to me or something. I like that. I will say it's hard to tell what it's really going to look like until we render it fully. I'm just going to zoom in on him just to see. Oh my god, you can see him standing there in his underwear. That's hilarious. No, we don't want that. No. Let's go to our lamp here. Let's focus on our lamp here. We have a lot of bounce light, I think. A couple things we can do. It looks good, just give him some pants. Well, maybe it's creepier if he's standing there in his underwear, right? Maybe that's the creepy part. He's just standing there nude looking at you. Oh no. Oh, you know what? This human gen version I have doesn't work for this version of Blender, so we may have some issues. Um, I'm not sure. Got eyebrows in here, but he doesn't have any hair. And I can't add any because I don't have the latest version of human gen. Looks like a creepy neighbor. Just okay. I had this neighbor growing up that was exactly like this. And one time we came out. It was like 6 a.m. He was in his underwear, tidy whities, mind you, not briefs. Like this guy's wearing briefs at least. He was wearing tidy whities, just like straight up. Okay, in his front yard, had a shovel, and he was just digging. He was just digging. And I just remember as a kid being like, "What the fuck?" Like, so maybe this is the move. I'm gonna try one more thing. I have an idea. Just add in a little bit of oomph to it. I like the ability to see him a little bit, but I'm kind of wanting. Maybe not this much light. Let's do this. And then if we do a -1, that'll suck the light out of just that. I would say having the light there is also pretty creepy, I'm not gonna lie. This will create a little bit more of a silhouette for us. By putting a negative number in, it actually absorbs the light from this direction. And so we're just sucking out the light from where he's at. And we're not, it doesn't look like it's affecting the back wall that much, so that's good. You can always change the size of it. Ooh, oops. Is that not what it is? This sometimes? Can I scale it? How do I get it so that it doesn't shoot so far? Do you not have the ability on the area light? Okay, that's good. And we're gonna keep him nude. I think that's good, man. Or in his briefs. He's in his briefs, okay? It's not nude. This is YouTube. We gotta keep it family friendly here, okay? Fantastic, guys. Okay, cool. I think that works there. Let's turn the clouds on. I gotta hit the render button so that way we can comp this thing before it's 11 because I gotta get to work here. That's all saved. Let's go to solid view real quick so that way I don't crash my computer. Gonna enable our clouds that we have, and then hit the save button while we're at it because that's always a good idea. You know, I'm not liking how blue the sky is, although we can change all of that in the comp, so I'm not too concerned. I don't want to screw with that too much here. Thinking that's really nice. Let's try a couple more things. I want to stay here. Let's add in some fog. So I'll create a new collection over here. We'll just call it FX. That way we can disable it, whatever we want. And then let's create a new cube that will just scale up. And this should be good. We just call this fog, and then from here we'll just add in a new material, and we'll just call this fog. Delete your principal DSDF, and then find yourself a volume scatter node that you can plug into the volume of that. I'm going to, for visibility in our viewport, just change this to wireframe, so that way it doesn't drive me crazy. And then for our density, let's just change that to like a 0.1, and then the anisotropy, change that to 0.6-ish. Should work. So now if we go and save that, go back into our render view, let's just see how thick that is. It might be too thick still. Definitely too thick. Although I'll say this also, I do like pretty thick. Let's see, 0.03. Just gonna kind of hike this up until we find a number that we want to be at. We want it decently cloudy, misty. And I'm just gonna grab this and make it go all the way back. And obviously, the bigger your volume is here, this is what you've got to kind of like pay attention to. It'll change your density level, because now it's like more density per voxel size or something like that. So you kind of want to be mindful of that. I'm just having it go all the way back so that way the sun has to go through these clouds. That might be pretty nice. Let's do that. Also going to add in an additional light, an additional sun, and let's just rotate that here, something like this. Actually, maybe a little more like let's increase the intensity of it just so we can see what it's doing exactly. Basically, I'm trying to create some God rays into our scene. So we're not going to want it this bright. But we will want it decently bright. And then we can adjust the color of it to be something a little bit more on tone of what we're going for here. Probably 1 might be fine, but might want to go up to 2 here in a second. This will just give us some nice God rays from the clouds. Actually, the clouds will be casting kind of these God ray lights. Well, I don't know. I think that's pretty good. We delete that. Thinking it's a little too saturated. It's really hard to judge without this being like a high quality render. Yeah, okay, that works for me. Let's do that. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the save button now. We'll just go back to solid view here. And let's go ahead and just render this out. We can maybe make some additional changes if necessary later. But this is going to render out, as I said, in Filmlight Linear, which you can't really see right now because it's blocked. But it's going to render out, oh my gosh. Blender's just like, yeah, let me hide your screen behind your face. So let's just go do this. this is going to be rendering out on our sequencer, which is Filmlet Linear. That's the color space that it'll be rendering as. Some of the settings that I like to do when rendering things out, if you go to the layers panel here, we can go enable objects as well as materials. And this will give us the ability to be able to make very fine-tuned adjustments inside of our comp. Finally, I'm rendering this out as 1920 by 1920, but I'm going to be rendering it out at 50% resolution just for the sake of this stream. The final render that I do will be at 100% resolution, and that'll be in the Discord, which is linked in the description. Also, a good time to ask you guys to subscribe if you're not already. We're on our road to 1,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button, and if you got friends that would be interested, share the channel with them. You know, sharing is caring in the end of the day. And then going further with our settings here, we normally, if it was an animation, probably put in our folder structure here, but we're just going to select opening it to our multi-layer, and then we'll just do overwrite for right now, and then also using color space set to Filmlet Linear gamut, which we will be overwriting. Alright, that's about all the settings there. I would say maybe adjust your amount of your samples in your setting. Right now I'm doing like 4096, which is a lot. I'm just going to do 1024 because that's what our viewport setting is set to, and that should be more than enough. I mean, I've done renders. It really depends with volumetrics. You kind of want a little bit more samples, but I've done renders as low as 100 samples on a frame, and that kind of came out correct for me. So that should be good there. And so now if we save and then hit the render button, this will render out at half resolution, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Nuke in the meantime. Let's go ahead and just stick that over there. And we'll get that started. Oh yeah, and then all the grass that we added yesterday and everything like that will automatically turn on and render. We just had it turned off on our viewport, so you'll see that kind of like appearing over here. And you know what? It kind of does cover that blue sky a little bit more, as well as with that new light that we just added in. So it's pretty nice. I might add a little bit more of like kind of like behind it glow, so we can do that. Let's see. No, we're not restoring. Should probably minimize this, but you need it right now. And then just go back to Blender as it's rendering. Alright, he's really dark. I already know that's too dark. Should I stop it? We already know it's too dark. I feel like we should do something about it. Here's what we're going to do. Because I don't want to have to adjust this constantly, let's just delete that. Render it again. And we will, using our crypto mats that I added into our multi-layer EXR, we will do it there. And we can make all of our adjustments inside the comp much easier and faster. Yeah, it really stands out. It's not correct, so I would rather just kind of get rid of it and kind of fix it. I think we can have much more control here. Also, just kind of like blending it to the background if we do want it to be less subtle or more subtle and less overt. That probably is a lot easier to do in comp, and yeah. It's currently saying it's going to take 26 minutes. I don't think it's going to take that long. These things might take like 15 minutes. We have a lot of volumetrics in this scene, which is kind of the problem. And I tend to go very heavy on my volumetrics. I can tell you what I'm running on this computer for specs. Should be... Oh, that's the other thing I should check. Oh, I'm not using CUDA. Okay, this may go faster. Turn on CUDA. Also use this. So I'm using two 3080 Ti's as well as a Ryzen Threadripper Pro. We do that. Yeah, now it's going to be using GPU compute. It was doing everything off the CPU there. I was like, how is that so stinking slow? This should be faster. Let's see what it's going to give me for the time. Yeah. That's going so much faster. Holy camole. So yeah, make sure your CUDA is turned on when you open up Blender for the first time on the new version. That'll help. Uh, so yeah, it says it's gonna take 15 minutes. That I always find that the number is a little bit higher than it actually is going to be, so it'll probably be about like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. We'll see. But let's see. Somebody suggested a render. Oh, they suggested doing a medieval render. So next week I'll probably jumping into doing a medieval render, maybe like a castle or something like that. That might seem fun. I'm not creating a dragon from scratch, okay, guys. But if I get a dragon model, I wouldn't mind comping it in to a medieval scene. Yeah, it was without GPU. Like that's no wonder. No wonder we were having problems here. CUDA wasn't turned on. So, yeah, this is going so much quicker. And honestly, I'm fine with, you know what? Seeing him might be okay. It might be okay. My concern was that we were going to see too much of him, and then that might look weird. But we can always make it more silhouetted and then match the brightness level that he's currently at. Because I feel like the negative number was making him really contrasty compared to everything else. So, oh man, dude, all the weeds and grass just like really add so much flavor to it. It's nice. I almost kind of want to make it raining. While this is rendering, let me just show you a fun little render we did. So last week we created that wizard tower, and I decided to render out a kind of like a rendered version of it. So let me see if I can open it up here. It's not licensed on here. I don't have this licensed. But yeah, so this is the render that I did. Can it loop? Yeah. So I added some rain in, and then the flames are kind of moving there, and then also kind of like a lightning flash that kind of happens as well. Ignore this. I don't have Switch licensed on my computer. But then I also had this. I was just like so in love with the idea of this animation. I was like, man, I really wish I could do this as like an animated film. It'd be so cool if like the next shot, then it's like kind of like a close up of this guy and he like looks up, you know, and then you got like some rainwater just like kind of like coming down his face. And then like then it's a close up of his hand and he's like holding a sword. And I was like, maybe it's like a short animated film about him trying to avenge like his family being killed by like this wizard dude in the middle of the mountains. So like he's there to avenge his family. I was like, that would be super awesome. So I don't know. That was just like in my head of like what this like render could have been for if it was a story. But yeah, so I did this and then rendered that out. Yeah, Castlevania vibe. I haven't seen Castlevania. I haven't seen Castlevania. But that was just like kind of like the idea that was in my head that was like, oh, you know, that would be a really fun kind of concept to really screw around with. I do like rain though in my shots, and it's just because it adds like this little extra kind of detail. And on this render here that I did last week, I did add rain into it inside of the comp, but you couldn't really see it in like the still render. So I decided to make it a video that I haven't uploaded or anything, so you guys are the only ones that have seen it. But it has like all this wonderful like rain that's kind of like falling down and like hitting the ground and stuff like that. I love this render. I thought it turned out really good. I was really happy with how it turned out. I love the glow and like even added kind of like this like deathly glow on the bricks of the building leading up to it. I just thought that was so cool. Maybe we'll revisit it one day and then we can make it into like a legit kind of project. I think that would be fun. If I just had more time, it's just like you only have so many hours in a day, and you know I got like a legit job, so I have to do that. And then you get home and it's like, okay, well now it's like freelance or playing video games or make an animated film that's going to take me 2 years to complete. Probably not the animated film that's going to take 2 years to complete. So, oh, that's a problem. You can see the sun. right there. I didn't notice that before. We can paint that out. Don't worry, we can paint it out. That's a little distracting. I was like, what is that yellow dot at the top of the render up there? Looks like it has a few minutes left, and then we can jump into the comp. Don't want. Here's our comp that we'll be working in. You know, low key, he's probably the right brightness level. I think we could live with that. And as I was saying with the fog that we added in, it's just adding these tiny little streaks in. It's not much. It's not going to like really blow anyone's mind away when they see it, but it kind of just adds in this nice natural kind of like flaring that would happen on like a realistic photo. I think once we add in all of our comp little tweaks, oh god, we forgot to do something. Oh, that's so annoying. It's okay, I'll do it for the final render that I will upload to Discord. We didn't add depth of field in. We did not add depth of field in, and I just noticed that. So why don't we do the comp? We can also fake our depth of field. I mean, it's not that hard. This is a very linear image. I just have to create a map. Yeah, let's just fake it. Screw it. We're gonna fake it. 1K sub stream, so just do a non-stop stream till we hit 1K. I think we'll be going for a while though, because I don't know how fast you really grow on subscribers on YouTube if you do that. I know that they do that on Twitch all the time, but those people play video games. Like, dude, my brain would be fried. I'm just like making animated. Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. Make the animated film on a 1K stream. That's true. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do it in post. I'm gonna do it in the comp. But yeah, no. What if I do that wizard tower animation in a live stream that's like a 1K stream or whatever, where I try to reach my goal of live, and then obviously we hit like that'll be funny. We'll hit 1K like almost immediately, and then I can't finish the shots. But I mean, dude, we could probably get like 3 or 4 shots done for sure, and it won't be like a whole film, but at least we could get like a few shots done, get those comped, rendered, and all that stuff. My goal for this year is to build a render farm, so that way when I hit the render button, it'll go to another computer, render on those computers, and then that way I can continue working on other shots and stuff like that. That's something that I really would like to do. And that would be insanely useful for that. The other thing we could have done, by the way, is on these walls, they're very straight here, so we could have added a displacement on them. Again, this is just a live stream photo, so I'm not really concerned about it. If it was probably for a client, I would do that. For this, I'm not too concerned. So, but if that's something you guys want to do, add in a displacement with like a cloud texture or something like that. Maybe even using the brick one. Because I think there's a brick texture that we saw earlier. And you use the brick texture for your displacement, then it will pop out like specific sections. So you can create like more rigid like lines that are going like this, rather than it just feeling very square. And we have our shader on here, so it feels like there's material on the inside of it, but it doesn't feel it on the lines. So that's where having a little bit of displacement inside of your modifiers is really useful. But is that going to be like the 1K stream will be like a so are you saying like once I hit 1,000 subscribers I do a stream where I do an animated film, or is it a stream to get 1,000 subscribers? Is that what it would be? Okay, that's finished rendering, and we can pop that out. Let's go save as. Put this under our output, and I'm going to create a new render. We'll call it today's date. We'll call it yesterday's date because that's technically the stream project number. And we'll call this temp, and then version 1. Let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to go ahead and open up nuke here and kind of load that in. I'm going to use a shuffle node, and then let's just shuffle everything into the correct form. Okay, and as I mentioned before, your shadows are going to be a little bit darker when you use, for whatever reason, Blender's color management is a little off, and that's something that like I really want to dive into also this year. So, but let's just go ahead and boost everything up just a wee bit, not a lot. A little bit. That's actually too much. Let's do that. I always tend to make things too dark as well, so I'm actually going to boost everything actually even more. And then a couple things that I do want to have is a lens distortion. We're going to re-distort everything here. About 0.07 should be fine. Maybe not that much. And let's see, grade node can be up there. Add a dot down here because we're just going to be making our adjustments for everything up here. A little bit of glow. Remove quite a bit of that glow. Change the size of that glow. And that's just going to add a little bit more realism to the edges here. Nice little chromatic aberrations to everything. And also bring quite a bit of life to your sky. The other thing we're going to want to do is, before this shuffle node, let's try to reformat. And then use the scaling of this to be 2x. So that way all of our kind of stuff that we're doing is going to be in HD, 1920 by, well, not HD, but 1920 by 1920, rather than it being in, you know, half that resolution, like this. It would be 960 by 960, so. What, you thought I was going to do the math on that live? No, man. Let's add a little more contrast to this shot here. It's already kind of creating a bit of a natural, interesting. Did I? Oh, because the test render that I had trees everywhere, whereas the actual photo of the Bates Motel doesn't have trees behind it. I was like, wait a second, I thought there was like supposed to be a bunch of trees behind the mansion, but no, we're good. Okay, great. And finally, let's, well, not finally, but let's add in a blur node here. And then I'm going to just add in a roto here. Plug that roto in. We're going to add in an edge blur. But we're just going to fake ourselves this depth of field. That way it looks more realistic. Because every camera has a tiny bit of depth of field to it. So I'm just going to change the edge blur to like 300. And then if we go here to our blur, can actually adjust everything. If we make it super blurry, you'll see what it does there. Rather than using a regular blur, I'm actually going to use a ZD focus is what I want to use. Let's use the ZD focus. And if we go look at the ZD focus, we can see how much it's blurring everything here. We can actually change the size of the amount of defocus that we want to have. We can feed a matte into it, I believe. So let's, yeah, well, that's a mask. I think it can also do, can't we feed a depth map into it? I believe we can. Yes, we can. So we can do mask.alpha. And then we can plug this mask.alpha into our mask that we created here. Our mask that we created here is just this. So this is closest to the camera, that's furthest away type of thing. So if we go back to our edge blur here and we just make this like insanely blurry, probably like 500 or 600. Let's do 1,000, that's fine. And then let's move this down here. Something like that should be fine. We're basically going to create a fake depth map because we did not include one on our Blender render. You could do this with your Blender render if you had that. But now if we go look at this, it will have, if we double click it, you can see that the focal point is there. And we're going to set the focal point all the way up there. And now this will be more out of focus and this will be more in focus. So ideally, when we go and change our size of our defocus, it will have everything here be out of focus. The only thing I'm concerned about is it actually looks like it's doubling up the image. And if that's the case, might want to do a merge node here, and then we can combine that back on top of that and then use our mask to essentially view the section that we need. So that'll be in focus, this will be out of focus. And that'll create more of a realistic kind of like blur that we would have. Perfect. And the only reason why we can get away with this is because of how linear this image is. We don't have like anything that's like directly in front of it that would be in focus, so we don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, that should look fine. Let's go back to our lens distortion here, and then it's getting a little messy. For my OCD, this is getting very messy. And then let's add in some grain. Let's change the saturation up here of specifically the greens and blues. And oh, but not the greens. We gotta keep the greens. And now finally, let's see. Let's add in another grade node down here on top of the grain, because this is going to be like the color grading quote unquote section of the comp. And let's just add in our mask. This is probably fine. Let's just bring this up and go to RGBA for our mask, and then for our grade we can just now make this a little bit darker, or something like that, but then add an edge blur of like 300. We may want this with the range to be accurate. I think that looks pretty sweet. I would also, let's take a grade node and take the inverse of that mask, and then let's just boost that through. I am thinking I do want to do something about him in his boxer briefs. Let's go and add in a crypto mat. And let's see, let's add a grade node that's going to be connected to this crypto mat. But this, oh no! Okay, so because there's an object in front of it, I thought that it would do like up to 5 objects in front of each other. I did not realize that it wouldn't do that. All right. Well, this is annoying, but we can kind of do this ourselves. Let's see. We're gonna grab this roto node here, and then we'll just manually do this. I wouldn't recommend having to do it this way, but duty calls, I suppose. Also, it's just a still image, so we don't have to worry about it. I would have thought that. I thought Cryptomats had allowed up to like 5 layers, so that's why I wasn't really concerned about this. At first, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, well, it is behind technically a wall, but thought we would be fine. It's all good. That's how easy it is. And then we'll go here, and let's see. It makes him more visible, but then I want to desaturate him. There we go. So that way it's not as overt. Okay. What do you guys think? How does that look? As the final image here. Probably don't like how desaturated it is overall. Let's see. Oh, whoops. That's not the correct saturation. Where is my main saturation mode? Color correct saturation modes. Either that, or we can add in a grade node up here that oops. I don't like that. This is like morning, basically. I think that works. I don't like how blurry this foreground is now, so let's tone that back. Now I have to learn how to better use the ZD focus, like actually feeding in the matte to it. But that's pretty sweet. I like it. I like it. It almost would make sense to make this a black and white photo because the actual film Psycho was black and white. But I think we're gonna leave that there. Like if we do it black and white, that's actually pretty cool. What do you guys think? Black and white or not? I mean, it's not adding terribly too much color by making it color, but black and white, and maybe increase the contrast as well. What do you guys think? Black and white or color? You can leave the contrast on either way. Yeah, I think you're right. Black and white. I'm really kind of I like both versions. I think the black and white fits better because it's from the Psycho house and like, it kind of makes sense. I do like this contrast though. It really draws your eye. And I'm fine with keeping the sun in there. I told you I was gonna paint it out, but I'm not. Not gonna happen. Alright guys, let's see. I'll show you guys it more close up. This photo right here, I'm going to post the full res version once I render it, because I have to render it. I'm going to post the full res version on the Discord. Please join the Discord. The link is in the description. If you guys aren't subscribed, subscribe, And we do these streams once a week, not normally on a Monday. Though I was thinking about doing a midweek stream that was more VFX focused rather than CG focused. So maybe next week we hit that up. But join the Discord. You'll get notified every time that I go live. I post that in our announcements section. And if you guys have any artwork you'd like to share, feel free to post it on the Discord. I only ask that you guys try to keep it a little bit more, not PG, but like, you know, don't be posting nudie stuff, you know, like we don't need that kind of things. But I do post the full res photos on there, so if you guys want to check that out and get the full quality galore of it and download it, because I think Discord even allows people to just download the original photo, then you can do that. So that's what the benefit of joining the Discord is. So I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for joining the live stream and putting up with some of the technical difficulties that we had yesterday. But I will see you guys at least either this Saturday or Sunday. I don't know which day I'll be streaming, but I'll let you guys know on the Discord once we pick that up. All right. Peace out, guys. Thank you so much.